I have 8 questions here. You get 3 rolls on the tower, and whatever I roll for you, that's where we start at least.
Perfect.
I'm obsessed with looking at the really weird and random facts on people's trivia pages. So if you had the opportunity to add one new fact to that page, what would it be?
I always pick an animal for all my characters. I always study an animal and do Alexander technique and animal work for all of my characters that I do.
What was the animal on Not Okay?
A monkey. I can't remember which type of monkey, but she was a monkey.
What is something you did for a role that now makes you say, I'm really glad that I tried that, but I would rather not do that again?
I'd really rather not have to do like months of night shoots for no reason. Like there was no reason we had to do, we just were staying on a consistent, like we didn't even need, we were on a sound stage and we were doing night shoots for months and it felt crazy and I would rather not do that. I mean, if you need it, you need it. But if you don't, I'd just really rather not just do it to do it, you know?
Closing this out with a number 5. I'm glad we landed on this one because this is the not okay themed question of the bunch today. So clearly social media can be problematic in a wide variety of ways, but there's also like little pockets of sheer joy and positivity. So can you tell us one thing about social media that brightens your day on a regular basis?
I follow like the hashtag pitbulls of Instagram, and that really just, whenever a pitbull pops up in my feed, I'm stoked.
100% understand that. I feel like that is definitely my go-to as well.
Yeah, you too? Dogs?
Right.
Animals?
Dogs, and I have become a cat person too. And one of my new favorite things on TikTok is watching people rescue cats and give them forever homes. And I cry when I watch these TikTok videos, and it's great.
They're the best. Rescue TikToks, or rescue talk is what we should call it. We should call that rescue talk if it's not already labeled that, because I love rescue
that
talk.
That hashtag should be a thing. It's probably there. We're coming up with a great idea that already exists, but now I'm going to go follow that hashtag. What's up, everyone? Welcome back for another Collider Ladies Night with one of my favorite people in this business, Zoey Deutch. Hello. I am so happy you are finally on Collider Ladies Night.
I am so excited to be here talking to you. We have done a many interview, many years we've been on. So I'm very excited to talk to you.
Has there ever been a time where you've watched the finished product and then thought to yourself, like, that didn't feel that great when I did it on set, but now that I'm watching it in the finished product now, like, I'm really proud of what I did in that scene?
Probably The Politician, just because I felt we were so The Politician, it was a show that I did, and my character is her storyline with Jessica Lange is very isolated from the rest of the story. Like it's sort of like a B plot, I guess you could say. And so it's like an isolated world that doesn't really interact much until it does with the main story. And I just didn't know if it was going to work. And I was so lost and I didn't really have a ton of guidance. And it was just like, I just wanted to be a good partner to Jessica, who's my absolute idol. And I didn't know if it was going to work. And then when I watched it, I felt pretty proud of it. And it worked.
This is a really big question, but to open it up to any actor you've ever worked with, can you give us like 2 polar opposite examples of what someone's needed from you as a scene partner, like two completely different acting techniques that you had to work with and then maybe adapt to?
Well, Mark Rylance is, as you know, an up and coming actor.
I don't even know who he is.
He's considered the greatest living theater actor, or of all time. And he is, for the most part, in character, or I guess what people would call method. And so, but his way of not letting that affect other people is he's very quiet and he's just sort of keeps to himself. He's to be clear, the kindest, most gentle. I think method has a really negative connotation to it. you never hear about method actors who are like playing a happy, nice, it's always method because it's like a dark, serious role and they're staying in it and want to, whatever. But he was just nothing but lovely and nothing but respectful. But it was a different energy. Like I like to, if I'm doing a serious scene after, I gotta let it all out, gotta like be kind of crazy just to like get all that energy out. He still stays very contained and in his space. And I just wanted to respect his space and I ended up sort of mirroring his energy in between scenes because I didn't want to disrupt him. Not that I could. I mean, he's so yeah, he's the greatest. But that was an interesting experience. And then I don't know. And then someone like Jesse Eisenberg, who he's unbelievable. He's writing for everybody around. At least my experience with him, he was so gracious. He was like writing jokes for us and coming up with ideas and just being so generous about his what was going through his mind and what we could do to elevate and have more fun in a scene. And so it made me want to do the same for him. And that was a very different experience than I was used to. Because a lot of the times actors are afraid, I think, of, if I come up to an actor, like, what if you do this? They don't want to like step on, it can be misinterpreted. And he was never once, he had such great ideas. And then you get to take credit for his great ideas, he was so wonderful. And I was so not used to that. People are so cautious about it. He was just so wonderful and brilliant, and I loved that.
Let's get into a couple more titles here. One of the first ones I wanted to ask about was Beautiful Creatures, because the term breakthrough role always fascinates me because it's thrown around all the time, and sometimes it can be true. It really can be classified as a breakthrough role, but sometimes I feel like folks use the term just because it's a newer face in a bigger budgeted movie and it's not actually the reality. And that term is often applied to you with Beautiful Creatures. So did Beautiful Creatures really feel like that to you, where after that movie came out, doors opened up that maybe weren't open to you before?
Gosh, what a good question. I don't know. I'm not sure. I mean, for me, it felt breakthrough because it was the first time like I was on location alone. I mean, my sister came, but I was it was like I felt like it was this whole glamorous experience. I was staying in a hotel and there were all these fabulous actors who knew so much more than I did, and we were in New Orleans, and it was just like it felt very cool and new to me. But I don't know if I've ever felt like breakthrough I just was like, oh, and I don't know. I'm sure it opened up more doors for sure, but it's hard when you're in it. It's sort of like looking at it, reading a book this close, everything's blurry. Like you can't really see the pages. You got to step back. But in hindsight, I'm sure it did open up a lot of doors for me.
Now, I have to ask about Vampire Academy too. I hate that this question about it has like a little bit of a negative connotation, but so this always fascinates me as well. But as an actor, box office is not your concern. You are there to make the movie better through a great performance, and you all very much did that. But I also know that box office reception can hurt when the numbers aren't quite there. So what is the key when you go through something like that to not letting that kind of disappointment, I guess, like make you dejected over something that you can't control?
Less box office and more reviews. I am a double Scorpio. I remember every journalist, everything they say, and they don't know that. And when I see them, I know every single thing that anyone has ever said, and I keep it in my head and I lock it away. And that's that. Box office. Yeah, that is that's a tough one. I was definitely scared. I'm sure I was really scared. I think I'm grateful that it didn't it didn't totally deter me from getting other work. And I wouldn't take it back. I have so much gratitude, and I have so much gratitude for the experience and what I learned from it. And but gosh, how do you let it not? I don't know. I don't know how you let it not like mess with you. It definitely feels like the ultimate form of rejection and public shaming, but you just keep going. You keep going on, and there's always more failure to have if you're so lucky. So, it's ups and downs. It's ups and downs, and it's constant. And the person that remembers the stuff the most is you, and you just got to keep going. That's the only difference between people who keep working and people who don't. You just keep going.
I was reading an interview Quinn did where she was talking about the response to the movie during test screenings and how a whole lot of people asked, why would someone make a movie with an unlikable woman in it? And I got a whole lot to say about that, but I did want to throw that question to you. What draws you to a story where you have to play a character who makes so many bad choices?
Look, it's fascinating and fun to play somebody who constantly who has this big secret. That makes it, raises and heightens the stakes in a way that is thrilling to play. There's always something bubbling under the surface, right? And for her, well, first, the script was so good and so tight and so interesting and had a lot to say about things that I am constantly trying to wrap my head around. So I thought, wow, this is a really worthy story to tell. I want to watch this movie. And then with Dani, I just found her to be fascinating to play someone that who has zero self-awareness. That's a fun opportunity, right? She is on a different planet than everybody else until pretty much the second to last scene of the movie in the canceled support group, when she says, I don't want to give away a spoiler, but when she basically says she doesn't know if she's learned anything. That's the first time I believe that I feel like she's actually on the same page as other people. And by saying that, you almost realize, wow, she has learned something. So I was like, I gotta play her. And I really enjoyed it. It was so uncomfortable at times. I was like, oh, so uncomfortable, but I loved playing.
I genuinely mean this. I'm very impressed by how well you all pulled this off, because that's not an easy thing to do. And I might have seen a couple movies recently that tried to do this with protagonists that make bad decision after bad decision. And ultimately, I walk away saying to myself, well, like, what was the purpose in sitting through that? And I think you tick both boxes here, where you do that and you bravely stick to it. But there is really deep value in what I just experienced.
Yeah, look, and I never like to tell people what they should take away from the story, right? But one of the things that I took away that was really important to me was at the ending, when she realizes that this is not her story. She is not the main character. She should learn how to listen better. It's time for her to be quiet. And there's something really valuable in that, for me at least, in learning how to be a better listener in this world and in this life.
There's one question that I really did want to ask you, because I love your filmography. I love the bold projects you take. I love that there's always something different in them. It has just really surprised me that you have yet to be snatched up by one of the massive franchises out there. So it was making me wonder, does that kind of working environment not appeal to you as much as something like the set of Not Okay? Because it does feel like you have worked on a whole bunch of intimate productions where, it speaks to what you brought up before, where there is an opportunity for everyone to feel like a real family.
No, I'm so game. I audition for them all the time, and it just hasn't happened. There's a certain set of criteria and like box office stuff, as we were talking about earlier, and foreign value and all that stuff. So if your movies have done well in other countries, that's what that means. So I would love to if it's a good part, to be a part of something like that. But it just hasn't happened. I've auditioned still. I still am auditioning all the time. I've auditioned for every part I've ever done except for the ones that I've produced. So like, yeah, I'm
you could probably see it all over
game.
My face. That is genuinely shocking to me.
Yeah. The only things I've ever, so like Buffaloed, Your Spectacular Men, Not Okay, and Something from Tiffany's are the only things that I haven't auditioned for. But I produce those.
Well, For whatever
yeah.
the big franchises were that didn't pan out for you, it is their loss, and you are using that time to make some A-plus stuff because I like seriously very impressed by Not Okay. Congratulations on everything you've accomplished, but in particular right now, Not Okay, which when everybody watches this will be available to stream on Hulu. I highly recommend it. Check it out. Zoe, we have to have you back on soon for another ladies' night.
Yes, I love talking to you. You are just the greatest, and I just can't wait to talk to you again soon in December. In December, we'll talk.
Okay.